This is another one of those books. Hopefully you can see it properly. Anyway, this is another one of those books that I got off a podcast. I don't remember which one, but I remember, hearing it maybe once or twice and then like noting it on my Amazon wish list, essentially, and then read it because I read another book. I would say similar genre on Billion Wicked Thoughts, which I reviewed. You can go look at it. But this book, I thought it might be different than what I was more thinking this would be, kind of going to PG-13 version. I thought it was more about exploring, or explaining about women's sensuality and sexuality, attractions and all. But really, I felt it was more about self-awareness for women, about their body, about their mentality, what their likes and dislikes, more than about their sexuality. Yes, it is about that. But I would say, the more she goes into it, basically, the title is kind of titillating. Come as you are, kind of seems like basically the surprising new science that will transform your sex life, which is basically for women, really. But it was more about accepting, more I read it, more I kind of understood how each person differs. This is about women, so, just take it as that. I think it kind of attributes to men too, but men are more, I guess, a little bit more uniform in their potential sexual attractions and all that stuff, what kind of, triggers them. Versus women, it's much more mental. And that's where the difficulty seems like even women understanding themselves. And that's why I think this book is a great book to read. If you're a woman, it doesn't matter if you're in same sex or different sex, heterosexual relationship. The basic concept is she goes into is same, understanding themselves first, especially how much mentally the whole attraction or sexuality or the intense attraction or intense desire for sex, so on and so forth, is mostly about the mental state, the context, so on and so forth, versus men, it's more, kind of more of a physical, visual thing, so they get triggered a little more easily. And also critical factor for women that she goes into is, well, actually, starting at first, it's kind of scientifically, which was surprising to me, that she kind of goes from evolution of man and women when they were embryo to how they essentially, divert to a man and a woman, technically having similar parts that's just kind of grow differently. Essentially, the organisms are same, but they grow differently, how things work. And then she gets into, hey, what is critical for women to understand versus most of the science or the general, news stories is all about men's point of view, which is very critical to understand. If you're a man in a relationship or looking to get in a relationship, I'm talking about heterosexual, obviously, if you're seeing a woman, then this book might be very, very important for you if there is issues of, when it comes to sex or sexual attraction, so on and so forth. So it's, I was sharing to somebody else about this. Although this book is about sexuality, I would say it's also a personal self-awareness, especially for women, but also for men to understand the person they are in intimate relationship with. Obviously heterosexual. I'm not talking about, normal, if you're, same-sex relationship. That's not the case. But I highly, highly recommend for all women to read this. If you haven't already read and don't understand any or kind of confused about issues you have about why you get attracted to certain things and why, sometimes you feel like there is physically there's arousal but then really you're not, right? That's the difference between man and women. I think even men, right? There are times, organs can react, but you're really not in the mood. So, which is rare for men than women, but women, it's very, very, very important for them. So I highly recommend reading this book to understand how to change the context, how to, not beat yourself up if you're a woman being blamed about, by your partner about any kind of sexual issues, right? So anyway, highly recommend this book.